This is the story of a restaurant that defied every rule of the hospitality industry to become a global empire, only to find itself fighting for relevance in a world that has moved on. For decades, the Cheesecake Factory was the ultimate suburban dining destination, a place where a 20-page menu and Egyptian columns signaled a special night out. But today, empty tables and shrinking foot traffic tell a different story. While they still generate billions, Americans are slowly turning their backs on the brand that once defined casual luxury. To understand why, we have to look past the calories and the cheesecake to see the real cracks in the foundation. Long before the massive pillars and gold leaf ceilings, this empire was just a woman baking in her basement. In the 1940s, Evelyn Overton found a cheesecake recipe in a Detroit local newspaper that would change her life. She baked for local restaurants while raising two children, David and Renee, but the dream of a real business had to wait. It wasn't until 1972, when Evelyn and her husband Oscar moved to Los Angeles with their last savings, that the Cheesecake Factory bakery truly began. They sold cakes to local eateries, but their son David saw something bigger. He didn't just want to supply restaurants, he wanted to create one. In 1978, despite having zero experience in food service, he opened the first location in Beverly Hills. Most business schools will tell you to keep things simple, but David Overton did the exact opposite. When that first Beverly Hills location opened, he was terrified that a professional chef might quit and leave him stranded. His solution was to design a menu he could cook himself, and then he just kept adding to it. If a customer asked for a burger, it went on the menu. If they wanted tacos, he added tacos. This paranoia-driven expansion birthed the strategy that defined the company, the veto vote. By offering over 200 items, Overton ensured that no single person in a large group could say no to eating there. It was a chaotic, impossible system, but for 30 years, it worked brilliantly. Walk into any location today, and you are hit with a sensory overload that makes no sense on paper. The design is a bizarre mix of Egyptian columns, Victorian molding, and French bistro seating. This isn't accidental bad taste, it is calculated psychology. The interiors are designed to feel expensive, yet disorienting, trapping you in a world where time doesn't exist and calories don't count. They spend roughly $500 per square foot on build-outs, twice the industry average. In the 1990s and early 2000s, this over-the-top aesthetic signaled luxury to the middle class. It told customers they were somewhere important, justifying the hour-long wait times and the premium prices for pasta. For decades, the sheer size of the food was the chain's best marketing tool. A single slice of cheesecake could feed a family, and pasta dishes arrived in bowls the size of hubcaps. This gluttony was a feature, not a bug. In a time before calorie counts were mandatory on menus, customers equated quantity with value. If you couldn't finish your meal, you felt like you got a deal. The factory became famous for this excess, with dishes like the bruleed French toast packing nearly 3,000 calories, more than a human needs in an entire day. This reputation for abundance made them the king of celebration dining, but it planted a ticking time bomb for the brand's reputation. We are uncovering the hidden mechanics behind America's biggest brands every week. So if you want to understand the business world better, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Now, let's look at how this calorie strategy backfired. The turning point for their public image began with a recurring nightmare called the Extreme Eating Awards. Run by the Center for Science and the Public Interest, this annual list highlighted the unhealthiest restaurant meals in America, and the Cheesecake Factory was their favorite target. Year after year, items like the pasta napolitana, loaded with sausage, pepperoni, meatballs, and bacon cream sauce, won honors for having 4 days' worth of saturated fat. What started as a joke eventually soured the public mood. As nutritional transparency laws kicked in during the 2010s, seeing 2,310 calories printed next to a pasta dish stopped looking like value and started looking like a health risk. The bruleed French toast wasn't just breakfast anymore. It was a viral symbol of American excess. While customers worried about calories, the company faced a much harder problem behind the scenes: the kitchen itself. Unlike competitors who use microwaves and frozen bags, the Cheesecake Factory prepares nearly all of its 250 menu items from scratch. This requires an army of prep cooks arriving at 6 a.m. to hand-roll egg rolls and chop vegetables. The kitchen line is a high-stress environment that demands military precision. When the labor market tightened in 2021 and 2022, this model nearly broke them. You can't just hire a teenager to run a station that complex. The reliance on skilled labor in an industry facing a massive talent shortage drove costs through the roof and slowed down service, frustrating loyal diners.
Real estate is destiny in the restaurant business, and the Cheesecake Factory bet everything on the American Mall. For 30 years, they were the anchor tenant that luxury malls desperately wanted. But by the mid-2020s, the Class A mall was an endangered species. As foot traffic and department stores evaporated, the organic flow of hungry shoppers dried up. The brand found itself attached to sinking ships. While they have tried to pivot to standalone locations, their massive 10,000 square foot footprint is hard to place in modern, walkable city centers. They are stuck with leases in giant concrete boxes that fewer people are visiting, turning their greatest asset into a heavy anchor dragging them down. Then came the inflation wave of 2022 through 2025. To keep their margins alive, the chain had to raise prices aggressively, sometimes twice a year. Suddenly, that affordable luxury wasn't so affordable. A casual dinner for two with appetizers and cheesecake easily crossed the $100 mark. Customers started doing the math. When a plate of mac and cheese bites costs $19, the value proposition falls apart. Social media in 2025 was filled with receipts showing astronomical bills for what is essentially upscale fast food. As families tighten their budgets, the Cheesecake Factory moved from a weekly treat to a special occasion only category, slashing the frequency of visits for their core demographic. We cannot talk about the decline of the Cheesecake Factory in 2026 without mentioning the cultural shift around eating. The rise of GLP-1 weight loss drugs like Ozempic fundamentally changed how millions of Americans view food. The desire to binge on massive portions is physically vanishing for a significant chunk of their target audience. In a world where mindful eating and gut health are the dominant trends, a restaurant famous for 3,000-calorie plates feels like a relic of a different time. The brand that was built on the concept of more is better is now operating in a society that increasingly believes less is more. They are selling excess to a generation that wants optimization. For Generation Z, the Cheesecake Factory suffers from a severe image problem. It is chuggy. This demographic craves authenticity, unique experiences, and ethical sourcing, three things a massive corporate chain struggles to project. To a 20-year-old in 2026, the gold pillars and faux Italian decor don't look fancy, they look fake. This generation prefers fast casual spots that specialize in one thing, rather than a factory that tries to do everything. While they might visit ironically for the nostalgia, they aren't building the weekly habits that their parents did. The brand has failed to capture the youth market, leaving them with an aging customer base that is slowly dining out less. But the Cheesecake Factory knows all of this. In fact, they are betting on their own replacement. In 2019, they acquired Fox Restaurant Concepts, giving them ownership of modern, trendy brands like North Italia and Flower Child. These restaurants are everything the factory isn't: healthy, focused, stylish, and appealing to younger diners. Throughout 2024 and 2025, while the main brand grew sluggishly, these smaller brands exploded in popularity. The company is effectively using the profits from the dying mothership to fund the fleet of lifeboats that will save them. They are cannibalizing their own customer base on purpose, shifting resources to the concepts that actually have a future.
It took them nearly 50 years, but in the first half of 2026, the Cheesecake Factory finally plans to launch its own dedicated mobile app. For a company of this size, being this late to the digital game is shocking. Competitors have had solid loyalty programs and apps for a decade, gathering data and driving repeat visits. The factory relied on its reputation alone, assuming people would always come without a digital nudge. Now, they are playing catch-up, trying to build a rewards program from scratch when customers already have phone screens full of apps. It is a desperate move to modernize, but technology can't fix a menu that is too expensive and a vibe that feels outdated. Let's look at the cold, hard cash. In 2024, the company pulled in over $3.5 billion, proving they aren't dead yet. But growth has slowed to a crawl. Their stock, trading around the $50 range in early 2026, reflects Wall Street's hesitation. The days of rapid expansion are over. Now it is a game of efficiency. They are squeezing pennies out of the supply chain and hoping that international licensing deals in the Middle East and Asia can offset the stagnation in America. The business is stable, but it is no longer a growth stock. It has become a cash cow, a business you milk for profits while you wait for the end. So, is the Cheesecake Factory actually falling? Yes and no. The era of the factory as the dominant force in American dining is certainly over. The model of everything for everyone doesn't work in an age of specialization and health consciousness. However, the company is smart enough to evolve. By hiding behind new, fresher brands, the corporation will likely survive, even if the flagship restaurants slowly fade into obscurity. The giant beige palaces in the mall parking lots might one day become relics, like the blockbuster videos of the food world, remembered fondly but visited rarely. They aren't going bankrupt tomorrow, but the magic is gone. The rise and slow decline of the Cheesecake Factory is really the story of American culture itself. We went from a nation that celebrated abundance and excess to one that is increasingly obsessed with curation, health, and authenticity. David Overton built a kingdom on the idea that more is better, and for a long time, he was right. But tastes change, and empires that refuse to adapt eventually crumble. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the business of food, make sure to subscribe and check out our other documentaries. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.